Hello, this is Aaron DeBruin here once again, Vinyl Freak 89. Wanted to let you guys know I did do a video yesterday, but something got screwed up with it and it couldn't be uploaded, so I apologize for that. So we're going to just go ahead and get right to it, discuss the situation for March 8th. Okay, here we see in here our storm is getting ready to leave. Brought some rain and severe weather, 74-mile-an-hour wind gust to Reagan National Airport, very intense storm. Here comes the next piece of energy, which is going to be the trigger for our next storm, which is going to be coming between March 7th and March 8th. Here's the first thing that has to happen. Notice we have this piece of energy in here, but we also have all this mess strung out front. What we want to happen to get this storm to be a sizable event is that this piece quickly splits off, goes off to the northeast, and leaves room behind in here for this to continue to dig in, so it can give room for a disturbance from the northern branch to dig in and phase with the overall system. Now, there's been a definite trend in the GFS, and we're going to step through sort of backwards, going first to yesterday's 6Z GFS to see how it had this evolution of the system, and then we're going to just sort of step through and show you the different evolutions of the different GFS runs. Notice what we have in here. We have a pretty broad trough sitting in here like so. Piece of energy sitting back here, but it's strung out in front. It's not very concealed. Second disturbance in here, and yet a third one up here in central Canada. Whoops. So again, 1, 2, 3, and you could sort of say 4 in here. But it's not very organized. Positively tilted trough, and it's very broad. Okay, here's another piece of energy in Canada that's also going to try to dive down into the system. Now let's go ahead and continue to step forward. When we take a look at the GFS that was valid at 12Z yesterday, we can see a much different situation already. This energy is sitting farther back. This is sitting farther back, trying to split with this piece out front. This is further back, and this is further south. So the overall solution that you get is a little bit of a sharper trough in here. Still pretty broad out front, but definitely indications pointing to a sharper trough, more positively tilted, with the main system sitting back in this area in here. Alright, so when we move on to 18Z last night, you can see still yet again a sharper trough. Look at this. You can see a definite curvature, a definite sharpness to the trough in here. This piece is sort of scooting out front, getting out of our way. Now this is pretty key. We in a lot of ways don't want this piece in here to be here, because this is what's sort of giving us that low pressure area that's sitting on its east side, that weak low that's not allowing the high to build in over the top of the system. I'm going to switch to red. I think that the blue's a little too hard to see, so it's not much better. We'll keep it on blue for now. So we want this to get out of our way if need be, and what's going to allow that to happen is the first disturbance that, remember, we saw was sitting in here gets out of the way quicker. That's going to allow this thing to dive down and exit out pretty quickly as well. So that's what we want to see again to see the big storm. So once again, you can see, looking at last night's 18Z GFS, sharper in here, definitely much further south, low over Texas, and look, here's this guy coming even a little further south. So let's move on to 0Z last night. You can see now we have a couple things. First off, notice what's in here, ridge. Notice what we get now. Here's a piece of energy that sort of appeared out of nowhere. Looking back, you cannot see that anywhere in any of the other prior GFS runs. It's sort of just here it might be showing up a little bit, but really it shows up full force. On the 0Z GFS, nice disturbance in here, and this disturbance back here as well is coming down. These both look like they want to try to phase into the trough. Again, you can see this idea to keep the energy further south in Texas and the overall things further back and a little bit more concealed. Sorry about that thing that keeps popping up. Still a sharper trough in here, but once you get out to the front, you can see it starts to broaden out. That's not what we want to see. We want to see a nice, sharp, positively tilted trough into Texas, and that'll close off a cutoff low in here and then move off to the east-northeast. So this is last night's 0Z. Now let's take a look at the 6Z. Again, you can see the same sort of trend. It's backing up. Here comes this piece of energy. A little bit further out, more phased in with the piece that was coming across here. Still, vorticity's back even into West Texas. This thing, remember, here's the first piece of energy out front, sitting in Western Tennessee, Western Mississippi, in that area. Now let's take a look at where the GFS had it. Yesterday's 6Z. Look at this. It was all the way out in front. There was all sorts of mishmash going on in here. Now we still do see that. We still do see, to some extent, there is a piece that's running out front, and that's what sort of drags the low up to the west. So we want to see this in here not happen as well to get the big storm. But overall, you can see here's the nice PVA tail. And here's a storm out front. So this is definitely a trend in the right direction. And now look what happens 12Z. We start to go back the other way. It's starting to get a broader trough a little bit, more separation, less of a PVA tail sitting in here, more connection. But look at this guy. It's getting out of the way. It's trying to exit. Again, we'll go back and let's look at we'll go ahead and look at 6Z yesterday. This thing was all the way back in here. Now let's look at 12Z today. It's really trying to run out front and exit. So overall, we're seeing more splitting. We're seeing more splitting in here, less splitting back here. So even though this run sort of took a step backwards, and also here comes the second piece of energy dumping in. So even though this run took a step backwards a little bit, it is definitely a trend in the right direction. So we'll need to see if this trend continues, if the 12Z run was a fluke, or if it is the establishment of a reverse trend, in which case, well, we usually don't see reverse trends, but they do happen occasionally. For Eastern U.S. weather, this is Aaron DeBruin, Final Freak 89, and I'll see you folks tonight for another video update.